All right, I've used this line quite a bit. I'm going to continue to use it and continue to use it until people start to remember it. And that is Ronald Reagan in a debate with Jimmy Carter saying that we do not have high inflation. And the inflation during that election cycle in 1979, 1980 was the election year. 81, January 20th, 1981 was when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated president. But in the debates in 1980, Ronald Reagan said we do not have high inflation because Americans are living too well. We have high inflation because the government is living too well. We have hit $33 trillion in debt for the first time in our history as a nation. The city of New York, who has justifiably been complaining about the migrant crisis in that city, Mayor Adams has said that they may have to start reducing the amount of overtime they allow police officers to make. It's going to affect public safety. This is a crisis. They can't take it anymore. Is spending $1,000 on a trash can. Not just one, thousands of them around the city. $1,000 per trash can. I don't know about you, but in my world, if I have a financial crisis, you rein in the nonsense spending. I am a spender. I'm someone that spends money. I'm an experienced person. I'm not a possession person. I would rather go somewhere and do something that I will remember than investing in something that I can look at. I don't want to buy a piece of furniture. I don't want to buy a piece of clothing. I would rather go somewhere. That's just my makeup. I'm also someone that I know by nature is not very good with money, that if I have a pocket full of money, I'm going to spend it. If I have $20 in my pocket, I'm going to spend 19. If I have $120 in my pocket, I'm going to spend 119. I know that about myself. I've had to retrain myself to be better with money. But it's my money. And when there's been a crisis, I pay my bills. And so there have been times when I've had to rein in and not do things and stop doing things because there are bills that have to be paid. We don't do that in our government. I mean, this is just something that we've lost sight of all of this. It doesn't make any sense to me. The reason why this is important is because gas prices are 50 cents higher on average per month than they were a month ago. Arizona is going to get a bit of a reprieve when we go to the winter blend of gasoline, but crude oil is now $95 a barrel higher, or I'm sorry, it's above $95 a barrel again, which means it's increasing, which means gas prices are going up. Courtney Levine has joined us. She is the president of the Arizona Multi-Housing Association. She shared with us some of the numbers, that in Arizona we are 270,000 units short of what we need for people to live in rental properties. And in Phoenix alone, it's at 163,000. I talked to her about all of this, and she was saying, we got to fix this. So I said, what do we do? What are some of the things that can be done to fix this issue?
Phoenix is also going to be talking about parking reforms where they will reduce parking for affordable housing. We need to modernize the zoning codes. The process that builders and developers go through to build homes and rentals in Arizona is way too long. It takes 2 to 4 years to build units in Arizona, and that's way too long. We've got to modernize the zoning code. We need to reduce the bureaucratic red tape, and we need to try to expedite the housing units.
So the reason why I'm connecting the dots with this is, again, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, and I certainly am not saying that her political point of view is mine or vice versa. I'm not putting words in her mouth. But the reduction of government red tape, government getting out of the way, it's all a part of this principle. If you reduce the problems of getting plans out of the city, it's less on architects, it's less on lawyers, it is less to build a project, it drives down the cost of building a project. Yes, it expedites the process. It gets those programs into the pipeline faster to be built. That's absolutely true. The reduction in expense allows those properties to be rented for less. If a government gives a tax break for low rent or affordable housing, it then incentivizes builders doing this. If you look at the what's being built for rent, and a lot of it is higher end stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, we all have this desire to make a nice living. I don't think people set out to be rich, but we look for maximum value. If you're buying something, if you're going to make a major purchase, you want to spend as little as you need to. If you're selling something, you want to sell it for as much as you possibly can. It's not greedy on either end. It's supply and demand. It's what the market will bear. If the government incentivizes things, there is a story that I had in front of me. It's in the pile of stuff. The city of Phoenix is looking at investing $500,000 to sponsor the Final Four when it's here. And they believe that being able to spend that $500,000 at the city level is going to then get them in front of the corporate barons that would invest in downtown Phoenix, and they're going to make a lot of money on top of that investment, which I think is a fantastic idea. There are people out there that get upset that $500,000 could be spent, but if you invest this $500,000 and in return, the millions that can come into the city. That's the reason why I'm in favor of the stadium out there in Glendale. It's the reason why I was in favor of the Diamondbacks getting their stadium in downtown Phoenix. There's a reason why the city of Phoenix owns the arena where the Suns play. Those investments between private and public partnerships bring in millions of dollars that everybody benefits from. It's about investment, but it's about the government understanding that private industry is what drives income, not governments. Get out of the way and allow these people to do what they do. So if you want affordable housing, why wouldn't you incentivize it? Why wouldn't you come up with a mathematical equation that says if you fit within these parameters, you get a 10-year tax break? Because what you're doing is you're keeping people out of the homelessness pipeline. You're giving people a chance at affordable housing. So the government isn't giving you a stipend. The government isn't giving you a rental assistance stipend. They're not giving you these vouchers. They're saying we are going to get out of the way and we're going to allow private industry and the private sector to work. It's just my belief that it works better. That I never wanted to, and I've told this story 100 times, working with the cities in the field where it works, where the work is being done, has always been a dream. I've worked with Phoenix building inspectors from 1995 until 2010. I was working with, so 15 years of working with inspectors on building projects. And I can tell you they're a dream because an inspector wants that project. First of all, they have to sign off on it, so it's got to be done right. But they want it to get done. So they work with you. If they find a violation, they say, don't slow down, don't stop the work. I'm going to write it in red pen on the plans. I'm going to let you continue working, but when I come back next time, I'm going to check that red line, and I'm going to make sure that you fixed it. And when you fix it, they initial it or they scratch it off an initial that you fixed it so that you don't have to stop work. It doesn't slow down progress. It's not an adversarial relationship. Well, by nature, a lot of times through the planning and zoning process, we've got this adversarial relationship. We have a ton of commercial property in this valley that could be transferred into residential or a combination of rental property of residential and commercial properties. The nightmare process of getting through all of that. Who's going to deal with it? You've got people out there, the entrepreneurs that have the money to invest, that would say, I will plunk down money and we can do this. But I'm not parking my money for the better part of 5 years so that we can get something done, or 3 years or 2 years. I'm not doing it. So this is where we've got to expedite, and she's 100% right. If you want to go back on the podcast after the show and hear the entire interview, it really was fascinating to get the perspective of an expert.